Injustice is everywhere and comes in all forms. Let's take climate change, for example. Some countries are more responsible for it, while others suffer more from its consequences. And today, we're going to take a look at this. We are able to estimate, on average, the amount of greenhouse gases that a resident of a country will produce each year. For example, in 2023, we know that an average Canadian released about 14 tons of CO2 in the atmosphere. To visually represent that, I'll put 140 milliliters of water in my beaker. In comparison, a German emitted 7.1 tons of CO2 in the atmosphere on average in 2023. This measure is the carbon footprint. Estimating the average footprint of a country's resident is very complicated. But know that, for example, if I take the plane, it releases a lot of CO2 and my footprint will be more significant. On the other hand, if I stop eating meat, I reduce my footprint. But the planet doesn't care who emits what. The CO2 ends up at the same places, in the oceans and in the atmosphere. And the more CO2 we emit, the more we contribute to climate change. But now, I see you coming. You're gonna ask, what does this have to do with injustice?
Let's take Canada.
The increase of wildfires is linked to the climate change. People have lost their homes, their land, and the air quality has deteriorated. Brazil has also experienced wildfires. However, they emitted less than us, an average of 2.3 tons of CO2 per capita. And additionally, they don't have the same financial resources to face the consequences. To summarize, those who are the least responsible are generally the most vulnerable. So the carbon footprint is cool. It allows me to determine what I could improve in my lifestyle to be more responsible. But, we must not only look at the carbon footprint of an individual. Otherwise, we're missing a big part. To put it into perspective, if we take the carbon footprint of all the Canadians, it adds up to 560 million tons of CO2. That's a lot of beakers. Now, let's try to visually represent the carbon footprint of the global oil industry. How many? Hello, I would like to rent 20 Olympic-sized swimming pools for an experiment. Hello? Hello? That's why it is often suggested to the richer countries to provide resources to the poorer countries to fight against climate change. And it's up to us to be vigilant and ensure that our governments are taking their responsibilities.